Welcome everybody. We are being joined again by Taylor Fluery. Taylor, we're so happy to have you back. Taylor is a school counselor at Kearsarge Elementary School in New London, and she is here today again to talk about how to help transition elementary school students, particularly K through 12, transition during this remote period. So Taylor, I'm going to hand it off to you, and I'm really excited about this talk.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me. So just, thinking in the transition in a broader sense, I think we need to think about the past year and how there is some heightened anxiety. I think students are feeling overwhelmed. It's a whole new way of learning, and they don't get that typical closure that they have in the same, in years past. So it's disappointing, I think, for a lot of these kids. And being mindful of that, how do we navigate that K through 5 transition process remotely? And I think we need to ask ourselves, how do we get a similar outcome of those traditional transition activities, but doing so without physically being together? So what does that look like, and how does that happen? So I've kind of broke it down into 2 areas. So we're going to provide a sense of closure for these students while also familiarizing students with next school year, the teachers, their classrooms, that sort of thing. So I think with providing a sense of closure, closure is good for any school year, but especially this one. They haven't had a chance to say goodbye to their teacher or their classmates in person, or their classroom, that physical space. That's so important to K through 5 kiddos. And I think we need to foster some positive reflection. This unexpected turn of events at the end of the school year, we need to process that and look for some good in this situation. And we are modeling for our students. So what has been good about this remote learning? And, we're still able to see our friends on a screen. Maybe that means sleeping in and taking extra time for breakfast. Wow, we have our own Chromebook or iPad to use. So still, we're talking about K through 5, they might say something silly, and we're embracing silly. They might say, I get more time to annoy my brother or sister, that sort of thing. So I think there's many end of the year reflection activities or assignments out there to get a sense of closure. You could write a letter to future 4th grade students, draw a picture of something that's hard that you did this year. Let's really just focus on the positive and help build resiliency in our students. So I think another thing that we can do is give students physical closure, and kids love something tangible to hold on to, like a tangible token of closure, whether that's a certificate, a reward. You can email it to them in a PDF and parents can print it or mail it to their houses. I think a little goes a long way, and kids will have that certificate hanging in their room all summer and will just love it. I think another option is when your students return their devices, their Chromebooks, their iPads, other school loan devices, they receive something like a little summer survival kit, a summer bucket list, a book, a pencil, whatever it is. I think will be really treasured by our students at this time when they're so desperately craving that closure. Let's see, so a project that they could do at home that I was thinking of to give some closure would be creating a little time capsule. And I've seen some of them and they're really cute. So it could include a favorite memento from the year, notes from a teacher, an achievement, or a picture of a classmate that they drew for them, an item in their backpack, a class photo. And it's just a fun way to bring a sense of closure, and they can share the items that they use with their classmates on Zoom or Google Meets, that sort of thing. And then another idea that I've heard is the meet and greet day that usually, at least for our district, is right before the beginning of school, and using that next school year to give some students an opportunity to say hi to their teacher from last year. So it's a fun way to kind of give some belated closure as well as welcoming the new. So I thought that was kind of a cool tradition. And then I think students who are graduating elementary school and who are heading to the middle school typically have a big celebration, an assembly, a walkout. some sort of celebration, and we can't do that this year, so that really stinks. So what can we do to still honor them? And we're going to be doing a live celebration with a slideshow. I've seen that some schools are going to be doing drive-bys to the fifth graders' houses. There's so many ways to celebrate them and give them closure, and that's really special. That's something they're going to remember. So in addition to providing closure, I think we also need to be thinking about how we're going to familiarize our students with next school year and what that's going to look like, and providing opportunities for them to gain some comfort and a feeling of security for the next grade level and their next year's teacher. And we know that teachers right now are stretched so thin, and they might not even have access to the rosters for next year. So I think they just need to do the best they can with what they have. I think we can be creative and collaborative with others, asking your school counselors, your case managers, your SLPSs, or your tech integrators to help. We can work together on some cool projects that don't need a great deal of time. I think the last week of remote learning, typically in the classroom, is fun events or field trips. So maybe hosting a virtual Zoom party with next year's teachers, doing a fun activity. We really want to get students excited. Who are the people they're going to see? Are they going to have new roles or special privileges? Any unique learning experiences? I know at our school, our fourth grade students get to do chorus, and our fifth grade get to do recorder. They also have something really special, the Ellis Island Simulation Project. So what are those things that are really going to get them eager and excited and get them to buy into next year? I think another thing to be mindful of is students don't have a chance right now to do a physical tour of a step-up day of the space for next year. So how can we remove that barrier? And I think if you're allowed in your building, you can take a quick video on your cell phone of walking from the main entrance down to your classroom. Students love seeing that space, even if it's a little bit different than you would normally set it up. We just made a fun video from third grade to fourth grade transition, and we had our principal walk from the main entrance down the ramp to the classes and to show how to use the badge to get in the door. We also had the fourth grade teachers give a brief introduction of who they are, and it was fun because they did it all from their home. So they had the dogs in the background. I told them a little bit about themselves. And then I asked a few students that are current fourth graders to share any tips that they had for future fourth graders and the best part of fourth grade. So we kind of compiled all of that information and put it on iMovie, and it was pretty simple. We added some music and it was a hit, and now there's a lot of other grades that want to make other iMovies just like that. And I think it's nice for kids to see that, get a preview of what next grade's going to be like. So besides showing the space, I think we need to give students a platform to really ask questions, because I'm sure whether they're asking or not, they have them. And letting them know what might be the same and what might look a little different. And you can do this a number of ways. So I want to talk about first this cool tool online called Flipgrid. And for our fifth graders that are moving into sixth grade, they recorded a short video asking a question that they had. It could be, do you have lockers that have locks on them? What kind of options do you have for lunch? Just little questions like that that they're thinking of, and they recorded them, and then we had a middle school staff member or a middle school student respond to them, and they were so excited when they actually had a response. They're very eager, and they're really looking forward to getting a response. And we had responses from the school principal. You could get a response from the janitor. It was really neat, and it just kind of involved everyone, and it gave some funness to the situation. I've seen a Google form being used where students can input their questions or worries, and the teachers of the following year would provide an answer. So that's another option too. A fun thing that I've seen that looks really cool, I haven't tried yet, but it's Bitmoji, and you can have an interactive classroom, and you basically have a cartoon image of yourself, and it's really fun. The kids can just explore the different areas of the classroom. You can also print out a picture of yourself, that's your own Bitmoji, And just like the popular book Flat Stanley by Jeff Brown, teachers can mail them out or email them to students, and they can print them, and they can bring their teachers with them to many places over the summer and send their teachers pictures of where they've been. I thought that was a really fun way to connect with future students and begin that relationship building. There's also some great transition books that teachers can suggest parents get for their students, or they could just read to them over the Zoom class meeting. So there's The Night Before First Grade, there's Kindergarten Here I Come, Second Grade Rocks. There's a bunch online that you can find. Another thing that I just wanted to mention was transitioning students who struggle with anxiety disorders or who have autism. There's been such a significant change in routines and structures, and we know that isn't easy to adapt to, especially for students who are rigid, routine-oriented, or who struggle with flexible thinking. So I think we can make some accommodations and some individual transition plans. So the next year's teacher might make a video introduction for that student, and they eventually want to have a Google Meet or Zoom session together and do something fun like play virtual Pictionary or virtual freeze dance, something to kind of let their guard down and build that relationship building. I think personalized social stories are really helpful for our students, as well as transition books with pictures of faces of the teachers for next year. Our preschool does this for our entering kindergarten students, and they have pictures of all of our specialists, the principal, the office manager, the janitor, the kinder teachers. And last year we had kinders come to school, and I'm just still getting to know the kids, and they said, "Oh, that's Mrs. Fluery." I'm like, "How do you know me?" It was really quite fun. For our students who have anxiety or who are headed to the middle school, we've connected them that have a big buddy or a peer mentor. So this would be a 5th grade student and a 6th grade student who could connect with their current 5th grade teacher over a video session, and they could ask questions, share experiences, any tips they have, and they've really gained a sense of comfort knowing a familiar face that they'll see. Another thought is we have a student who has selective mutism, and every year she creates an accompanying document that goes with her 504. And it's really special. I think it gives her peace of mind in knowing that educators in the next grade will know her perspective. And she usually makes this beautiful photo collage with words overlaid on it. It could be a poem or just describing her experience at school. And it's just kind of a window into who the student is. And we just staple that into a hard copy with her 504. And just so future teachers know, a face to just a 504 plate. It's not just words. This is a face. This is an important child that we have, and getting to know her point of view. So in summary, I think the better we provide closure and prepare our students on what to expect, the less anxious they'll be, and this will help with a smoother reentry.
Taylor, I love listening to you talk, and I hear the passion and the warmth and the caring and the thoughtfulness and purposefulness and everything that you've articulated. I grew up and went to school in England, and we read Flat Stanley in England. So I don't know if the author is American or not, but it kind of it was so diverse in what you were suggesting, and it reached across time and across the ocean. But I love educational technology and social technology, but you mentioned something that I thought was really relevant. And we have to remember that not all of our students have the opportunity and the ability to hop online for any number of reasons. And you spoke about, as a closing, mailing a little certificate to every student. And I think that really resonated with me, because regardless of the background of the student, regardless of capacity, intellectualism, social economic income, culture, race, all of those factors, every single student would have that one identical certificate of completion with their name on it. And so that idea was very warming to me, that every single student would have that tangible the physical manifestation of a closing. So those were wonderful ideas. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us again at the DOE, at the Bureau of Wellness. And I'm going to thank our viewers for listening to you. And hopefully we'll have you back with us again another time to hear about all of your ideas.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Be well, everyone.
Thank you.